What if everything you know about the end of the world came from a man who was forbidden to speak, a prophet who saw visions so dark that angels themselves trembled when they appeared to him? Deep in ancient Babylon, a captive named Daniel received apocalyptic revelations that would shake human history, prophecies so disturbing they were sealed for centuries because humanity was not ready. This is the apocalypse of Daniel, visions that predicted the rise and fall of empires, a figure more terrifying than any tyrant history has known, and the final judgment that will consume everything. The timeline is encoded, and what Daniel saw might be unfolding right now. Let us descend into these forbidden revelations and uncover what has been hidden for centuries. Chapter 1. The prophet who saw too much. The year is 597 before the Common Era. Jerusalem has fallen. The temple lies in ruins, its people dragged away in chains. Among the captives is Daniel, thrown into Babylon, the greatest city on earth, where King Nebuchadnezzar's court becomes his cage. But Daniel is different. He can see beyond the veil, interpret dreams, peer into the future like staring into dark water where terrible things lurk beneath. When Nebuchadnezzar has a dream that terrifies him, Daniel steps forward to reveal its meaning. A revelation predicting Babylon's own fall. The dream shows a massive statue with a head of gold, chest of silver, belly of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron and clay. A stone cut without hands strikes the feet and crushes everything to dust. Daniel explains, this represents kingdoms that will rise and fall, each weaker than the last, until something not made by human hands destroys them all. The king is shaken. Daniel is promoted, but he has painted a target on his back. Years pass. Nebuchadnezzar dies. New kings rise, each more brutal. Daniel survives them all, refusing to abandon his God, even when thrown into a den of lions. And because of his faithfulness, the visions come. Not just dreams anymore, but waking nightmares that burn into his mind. The first vision comes during King Belshazzar's reign. Daniel is on his bed when suddenly he stands on the shore of a vast sea, wind howling, darkness spreading across the water. Then, from the depths, they rise. 4 beasts, each more grotesque than the last, each representing a kingdom that will devour the earth. Daniel watches in terror as these abominations emerge, knowing what he sees is prophecy. The vision shifts. Daniel stands before a throne of fire, surrounded by thousands of beings. Seated upon the throne is the Ancient of Days, clothed in white, hair like pure wool, eyes like flames. Before this figure, the beasts are judged, their dominions stripped away, their bodies destroyed. Then, coming with the clouds, Daniel sees someone, like a son of man, approaching the throne and receiving authority over all nations. This figure will rule an everlasting kingdom that will never be destroyed. Chapter 2. Beasts rising from the abyss. The first beast is like a lion with eagle's wings. It is majestic and powerful, but as Daniel watches, the wings are torn from its back, and the beast is made to stand on 2 feet like a man. A human heart is given to it, and it becomes something weaker, corrupted. This is the first kingdom, mighty at its birth, but destined to fall. Then comes the second beast, a bear, massive and grotesque, raised up on one side, with 3 ribs clenched between its teeth. Blood drips from its jaws, and a voice commands it to arise and devour much flesh. This beast is insatiable, representing a kingdom that conquers through sheer force, consuming everything in its path. The 3 ribs symbolize kingdoms already destroyed. The third beast is like a leopard, with 4 heads and 4 wings on its back. This beast moves with terrifying speed, conquering the world faster than anyone thought possible. It is cunning and merciless. The 4 heads represent division, a kingdom that will split apart after its ruler dies. And then, the 4th beast appears, and Daniel cannot even describe it properly because nothing on earth compares. It is dreadful, terrible, exceedingly strong, with teeth of iron and claws of bronze. It devours everything, breaking entire nations into pieces and trampling the remains beneath its feet. This one is not like any animal. It is something unnatural, something that should not exist. And it has 10 horns, each representing a king that will rise from this kingdom. But Daniel's eyes are drawn to something even more disturbing. As he watches, another horn emerges. A little horn, small at first but growing larger, pushing aside 3 of the other horns and tearing them out by the roots. And this little horn has eyes, human eyes, and a mouth that speaks great things, boastful words, blasphemies against the Most High. This is not just a king. This is something far more sinister, a figure who will exalt himself above every god and wage war against the holy ones. Daniel watches in horror as this little horn persecutes the saints, changing times and laws, ruling with absolute power for a time, times, and half a time. Then, suddenly, the vision shifts. Thrones are set in place, and the Ancient of Days takes his seat. His clothing is white as snow, his hair like pure wool. His throne is flames of fire. A river of fire flows from before him, and thousands upon thousands attend him. The court sits in judgment, and the books are opened. The little horn continues speaking, but then, in an instant, it is silenced. The 4th beast is slain, its body destroyed, and thrown into blazing fire. The other beasts have their dominion taken away, but they are allowed to live for a season. And then, coming with the clouds of heaven, Daniel sees a figure, like a son of man, approaching the Ancient of Days. He is given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations worship him. His dominion is everlasting, and his kingdom will never be destroyed. But Daniel is not comforted. He is deeply troubled, his spirit grieved. He approaches one of the beings standing there and asks for the true meaning. The being explains that the 4 beasts are 4 kingdoms that will rise from the earth, but that the holy people will receive the kingdom forever. Yet when Daniel asks specifically about the 4th beast and the little horn with eyes and a mouth that speaks boastfully, the being's face grows grave. This horn will wage war against the holy people and defeat them, until the Ancient of Days comes and pronounces judgment in favor of the saints. The 4th beast will be a kingdom unlike any other, devouring the whole earth. The 10 horns are 10 kings, and another king will arise and subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High, oppress the saints, and try to change the set times and laws. The saints will be delivered into his hands for a time, times, and half a time. But then the court will sit, and his power will be taken away, consumed and destroyed forever, and the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all kingdoms will be given to the holy people. His kingdom will be everlasting, and all rulers will worship and obey him. Chapter 3. The Ram, the Goat, and the End of Days. In this vision, Daniel sees himself standing beside a canal in the citadel of Susa. Suddenly, he looks up and sees a ram with 2 horns standing beside the canal. The 2 horns are long, but one is longer than the other, and the longer one grows up last. The ram charges toward the west, the north, and the south. No animal can stand against it. It does as it pleases, and becomes great. But while Daniel watches, a male goat comes from the west, crossing the whole earth without touching the ground, moving with impossible speed. This goat has a prominent horn between its eyes, and it charges at the ram with savage fury. Daniel watches as the goat strikes the ram, shatters both its horns, and tramples it to the ground. The ram is powerless to resist. The goat becomes very great, but at the height of its power, its large horn is broken off, and in its place, 4 prominent horns grow. Then, from one of these horns, a little horn emerges, starting small but growing in power toward the south, the east, and toward the beautiful land. It grows until it reaches the host of heaven, throws some of the starry host down to the earth, and tramples on them. It exalts itself as high as the prince of the host, abolishes the daily sacrifice, and brings low the sanctuary. Truth is thrown to the ground, and it prospers in everything it does. Daniel hears 2 holy ones speaking, and one asks, "How long will the vision be?" concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression that brings horror, the giving over of both the sanctuary and the host to be trampled? The answer comes with chilling precision, for 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be restored. Daniel is desperate to understand, and suddenly, standing before him is a figure with the appearance of a man. He hears a voice calling out, "Gabriel, make this man understand the vision." Daniel's blood runs cold, because he knows that name. Gabriel is an archangel, and when he approaches, Daniel collapses in terror, falling face down on the ground. Gabriel's voice is firm as he says, "Understand, Son of Man, that the vision refers to the time of the end." While Gabriel speaks, Daniel is in a deep sleep, but the angel touches him and raises him to his feet. Gabriel says, "I am going to tell you what will happen later in the time of wrath, because the vision concerns the appointed time of the end." Gabriel explains that the two-horned ram represents the kings of Media and Persia, and the goat is the king of Greece. The prominent horn is the first king, and when it is broken off, 4 kingdoms will emerge from his nation, but not with the same power. In the latter part of their reign, when rebels have become completely wicked, a fierce-looking king, a master of intrigue will arise. He will become very strong, but not by his own power. He will cause astounding devastation and will succeed in whatever he does. He will destroy those who are mighty, the holy people. He will cause deceit to prosper, and he will consider himself superior. When they feel secure, he will destroy many and even take a stand against the Prince of Princes. Yet, he will be destroyed, but not by human power. Gabriel tells Daniel, "The vision of the evenings and mornings that has been given to you is true, but seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future." Then Gabriel disappears, and Daniel is left exhausted, lying ill for several days. He is appalled by the vision because it is beyond understanding. But what disturbs him most is the precision, the specificity. This is not vague symbolism. This is a roadmap, a timeline. The ram with 2 horns is the dual empire of Media and Persia. The goat is Greece, sweeping across the world with terrifying speed under Alexander the Great, whose horn will be broken when he dies young. His empire will split into 4 pieces, ruled by his generals. And from one of these fragments, a little horn will rise, a king who will persecute the holy people, desecrate the sanctuary, abolish the daily sacrifices, and set up an abomination. This king will rule for 2,300 evenings and mornings, roughly 6 years and 4 months, during which the faithful will be trampled and truth thrown to the ground. But then, his power will be broken, not by human hands, and the sanctuary will be cleansed. This prophecy will be fulfilled with chilling accuracy in the 2nd century before the Common Era, when a ruler named Antiochus Epiphanes will do exactly what Daniel saw. But Gabriel's words echo, "Seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future." Because while this prophecy will be fulfilled once, it is also a pattern, a shadow of something even darker that will come at the end of days. The little horn is not just one king. It is a template, a preview of the final enemy who will rise at the end of all things. Daniel writes everything down, seals the scroll, and prays. Because if this vision is true, if the timeline is accurate, then the end is not random. It is planned, calculated, and coming. Chapter 4, 70 weeks until annihilation. Jeremiah had prophesied that Jerusalem would lie in ruins for 70 years, and Daniel realizes that the 70 years are almost complete. The time of exile is ending, but the city remains destroyed, the temple still in ruins. Daniel is overwhelmed with grief and begins to pray, fasting in sackcloth and ashes, confessing the sins of his people, begging for mercy, pleading for the restoration of Jerusalem. His prayer is raw, desperate, and filled with anguish. He acknowledges that the calamity that has fallen upon Jerusalem is deserved, that the people have rebelled, ignored the warnings of the prophets, and turned away from the commandments. But he also appeals to the character of the Most High, asking for forgiveness not because the people deserve it, but because of his great mercy. Daniel prays, "O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, listen and act. For your sake, my God, do not delay, because your city and your people bear your name." And then, while Daniel is still praying, still speaking, still confessing, something extraordinary happens. The angel Gabriel, the same being who appeared to him years earlier, comes to him in swift flight, arriving at the time of the evening sacrifice. Gabriel touches Daniel and says, "Daniel, I have come now to give you insight and understanding. As soon as you began to pray, a word went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are highly esteemed. Therefore, consider the word and understand the vision. What Gabriel reveals next is the most precise, most disturbing, most debated prophecy in all of Daniel's visions. He says, 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. 70 weeks, but not literal weeks. These are weeks of years, 70 periods of 7 years each, a total of 490 years. This is the timeline from the decree to rebuild Jerusalem until the coming of the Anointed One, the Messiah, and the final judgment. Gabriel breaks it down into 3 distinct periods, and each one is marked by a specific event. Know and understand this. Gabriel continues, from the time the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Anointed One, the ruler, comes, there will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but in times of trouble. The Messiah will be cut off, killed, and will have nothing. No kingdom, no throne, no earthly power. And after his death, an army will come, destroy Jerusalem, and level the temple. The city will be left in ruins, and war will rage until the very end. But Gabriel is not finished. There is one more week, one final period of 7 years, and this is the most terrifying part of the prophecy. Gabriel says, he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. In the middle of the week, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And at the temple, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. Daniel is left speechless, his mind reeling, trying to process what he has just heard. The timeline is clear. The city will be rebuilt. The Messiah will come. He will be killed. The city will be destroyed. And then, at some point in the future, a final ruler will arise, make a covenant, break it, defile the temple, and bring about the end of all things. But the final week, the 70th week, remains unfulfilled. It is a gap in the timeline, a pause in the prophecy, waiting for the moment when the final ruler will arise, make his covenant, and set up the abomination that will trigger the end. And when that happens, when the final 7 years begin, the countdown to annihilation will start, and nothing will stop it. Daniel is exhausted, overwhelmed, his body weak from fasting and prayer. He lies down, ill for days, unable to fully comprehend what he has been shown. But he writes it all down, every detail, every number, every symbol, knowing that future generations will need this information. Because the apocalypse of Daniel is not just a vision of the past. It is a warning for the future. The beasts will rise, the kingdoms will fall, the little horn will come, and the final week will begin. And when it does, the world will discover that everything Daniel saw was true, every prophecy fulfilled, every vision realized. The visions hidden for centuries are no longer hidden. They are here, unfolding, waiting for the final act. And the question is not if it will happen, but when.